I am going to read you a little story that is a snippet from James Grider's life. James Grider is a 15-year-old fictional character, and he has better than average smarts. He is smarter than all of you stupid sheeple. His 15-year-old twin sister Carmela, she's on the side of all the stupid cliches about life that the sheeple believe in and repeat, and she seems to counter everything her brother proclaims in reasonable tones. I don't care that James Grider is fictional. People need to listen to what he says. This is very fucking important. James Grider teaches us how to think logically and not let ourselves get fucked over by society and its irrational cultural customs and laws. Okay, so what happens in the story you are about to hear is that James Grider's English teacher, Mrs. Beverly J. Caderet, stepped out of class for 5 minutes to expel diarrhea from her fat ass. Diarrhea caused by the overeating of pork and beans. Beverly Caderet is a very bitchy teacher. One time her classroom was vandalized one night, and she cried and was in tears over it in front of her students the next day. She is such an idiot that she believes in global warming to a point where she thinks 5 years from the current year in which you are watching this video, the planet will be so hot you will catch on fire if you step outside. She writes detentions for her students like crazy, even if you as much as whisper after she orders everyone to be quiet. Oh, and she faked it. She faked being upset that her classroom was vandalized. She faked her crying about it because she's a dumb bitch. So while Mrs. Beverly J. Caderet was pissing out her asshole into the toilet, the diarrhea so liquid it was running out between her butt cheeks like piss, James Grider decided it is his opportunity to step up to the whiteboard and teach his whole class something really useful. I wanted to draw a whole fucking classroom of kids, but I just can't. I can't. I'd be at it for several weeks if I tried to do that. I can't. I mean, I did such a lazy job of this that I didn't even trace this with a pen. I colored right over the pencil drawings, and the colored pencils picked up some of the graphite pencil, and it just made everything look dirty. It just made everything look dirty and just... James Grider has researched some interesting shit about school teachers and then used blatantly simple logic to arrive at a deduction that school teachers are all pieces of shit and they're all fucking nuts. Here's what he had to say to his class. This is very important research, so hear him well. Okay, motherfuckers, here's some unexpected news for you. When teachers are upset with misbehaving students, which is us, it's all a fucking act. They are adults. They don't give a shit. They know kids will be kids. They act offended and upset only as a fucking manipulation tactic to mind fuck students into feeling you're doing something wrong and hurting them. Like all adults, they mind fuck and manipulate kids. Manipulation is their #1 priority. There is no reason for any teacher to be emotionally upset with misbehaving students. Why would they? It's part of their job to deal with shit like that. If anything, they should be happy kids are misbehaving. It means they have an excuse not to do the job of teaching while they bitch at the kids and still get paid. If I was a teacher, I would actually love that someone is disrupting me from doing my job, since I'll be paid for it anyway and I don't have to work. They fake being angry on the outside, but on the inside they're happy. They're filled with pleasure and satisfaction at having power to control lives of kids and punish them. You know how hard it is for a teacher to get fired? Teachers are protected by contracts from their unions that make it almost impossible for them to be fired, while enjoying health benefits, all sorts of benefits. The reason they get angry and upset is either because they're faking it, or they're fucked in the head, or they're getting kicks and sexual arousal from dominating students. On the inside, they don't give a shit. They just want to manipulate you emotionally into being submissive. Why would Mrs. Caderet cry that her classroom was vandalized? The money to repair it is not coming out of her pocket or her salary. It comes out of taxpayer pockets, just like her bloated salary does. Why would she have any emotional investment in her classroom? She faked it to manipulate emotionally underdeveloped minds of children, hoping that students will feel sorry for her and give her attention. For instance, why would any adult care if a child uses cuss words in their presence? Think about it. Deep inside, no adult would give a shit. They just pretend being offended so they can control and manipulate and feel powerful. If they truly get upset because you're disrupting class or whatever, it's because they're fucked up in the head. They get paid for being here. There is no point to being angry. Why would they even emotionally invest in giving a shit if any student learns anything? Ask yourselves if any of you would do this if you were teachers. Making the speech had fired up James. He'd been wound tight with energy as the spiel poured from him, making him unable to keep still. He would switch from leaning with his hands hard on the desk and levering himself up so his feet left the floor, to pacing back and forth, to gesticulating animatedly and even smacking the whiteboard to punctuate a point. Many students gazed at him as if he'd lost a few marbles, not seeing the merit in accepting what he was supposing. A few were giggling and hoping Mrs. Caderet walks in on him so he winds up in trouble. They were all supposed to work quietly on their assignments, and here James was distracting everybody with his anti-teacher rant. Carmela had decided this was a good opportunity to text on her cell phone, with complete indifference and lack of attention to her brother. She'd already heard this spiel in private from him, and did not find it wise whatsoever. From the responses of his peers to his intelligent ramblings, James could only deduce he was surrounded by sheeple of the purest breed, that no amount of effort could change their minds, that maybe not even placing guns to their heads could sway them from their apathy. "When our teacher returns," he called, desperate for attention, straining to convert at least one mind to his side. "Everyone call her a fat bitch. Tell her calmly that she is a fat bitch, and do nothing she tells you to do, and if she starts getting mad, tell her it won't work because she is faking it, and she should immediately stop the ruse. You will see I am right. You will see." Carmela's hand flung up into the air abruptly, to James's slight surprise. An amusing idea flicked on in her head, and before speaking it, she decided to use the gesture to make slight mockery of the fact that, in a way, her brother was now playing an impromptu role of a teacher, and that this alone cast a shroud of mild hypocrisy over his entire rant. If he hates teachers and tells that no one should obey teachers, then where does it put him while he is acting as a teacher himself? "So what about Miss Lacosta?" Carmela asked slyly, referring to the girls' gym teacher. "If you hate teachers so much, do you hate her too?" The video, titled "Statutory Rape, a Viewpoint You Will Hear Nowhere Else," explains the relationship between James and Miss Lacosta. I am not gonna go into it here. "What about her?" James responded, his face clouding, his stomach abruptly weakening. Carmela wasn't about to calmly divulge his worst secret to all these students, is she? She can't. She'd promised. "Nothing," Carmela said with mock innocence, tipping her head to the side, a sly smile on her lips, her smart expression teasing at the big damaging secret now at the forefront of her mind, known only between the both of them. "Just wondering, that's all." James's fear ebbed. Okay, Carmela hasn't lost her mind, that she would speak such an awful secret out loud after all. But even for toying around like this, James wanted to kill her all the same. To get back on track, James said, "Kids, stop giving your teachers power. Stop listening to them. Stop buying into their bullshit fake pretenses of being upset when you misbehave. Call them fags and assholes and bitches right to their faces so the whole classroom can hear if you don't like them. That's what it means to be a mature adult. Don't let them manipulate you. Teachers don't give a shit about anything they claim and pretend to care about. There is no reason why they should. Their emotions are all fake. No sane adult would care about whether some kid wants to learn or not. No sane adult would be upset if some kid uses cuss words in their presence or insults them unless they're fucked up in the head." So there you go. James's take on school teachers. And I agree with it. Every point he makes is right. When a teacher is mad at you, they're fucking faking it. Because they are a fucking grown-up. There is no reason for them to be upset. It's all just emotional manipulation of weak, young minds and power play that they get off on.